Hello, everybody. I am tired. I look like crap. It's 12:30 at night. My baby sleeps, but I don't. So, go figure. This is a speech I've been working on for school, so I need to see if anybody else understands what I'm trying to say. Make sure that I didn't do all this for nothing, because at 11:30 tomorrow morning, I have to go deliver this to an audience. So bear with me. It's a long one. So I want you to imagine an 8-year-old little girl sitting in a crowded cafeteria room surrounded by all these great smells of food. Now, this little girl hasn't had a decent meal at home in weeks. I mean, maybe it's because her parents are drug addicts, or maybe they've fallen into hard times and they just can't afford to actually provide for their children at this time. But she's smelling all these foods, around her. She's watching everybody eat. She's salivating. Her stomach is grumbling, and she feels so alone. Or maybe there's a 70-year-old woman, your grandmother, and she is on a fixed income, and she can't afford medical insurance, and nor can she afford her medications. So basically, all the pharmacy keeps telling her is that she's going to have to deal with the bumps and the bruises and these pains that she's feeling from each time she falls and has a seizure. Perhaps it's a day when CPS or any other government affiliated agency can walk right into your door simply because you chose not to give your child vaccinations. All these possibilities are really, they're serious possibilities that could happen in the near future. And they're really all because of media monopolies and censorship in the media. Now, I shared with you last time the reasoning for me wanting to become more informed about the laws that are being passed in our country. But I'm starting to realize that if we don't become a united and informed nation, that these are all things that we're going to have to live with, the decisions that are made for us. So today I'm going to explain why ignorance on these issues is making America a less of a free country. I'll also tell you two of the most common causes, and then I'm going to tell you what we can do to fix it. So, what's the biggest obstacle to America being a truly free country? It's ignorance. It's ignorance on what's happening in our country, the laws that are happening. It's beginning to put our freedom in imminent danger, especially our freedom of speech. As we all know, the First Amendment's been up under attack multiple times. We desperately need more information before it's too late. We shouldn't have to hear about healthcare reform or healthcare acts being repealed after the fact. I don't know about you guys, but I heard nothing really. Not too much, a little bit of chitter chatter, but nothing during all of the stages of Congress before that act was repealed. And it takes a long time for that to happen. So, but I heard a lot about it after the fact. I heard people on social media. I heard about it on the news. Didn't hear a lot beforehand. Big corporate monopolies should not be allowed to push their own agendas and control the information that we hear. As we talked about last time, laws are being passed in our country almost on a daily basis, and most of us couldn't even name a single law that was passed, or let alone know what that law entails. Like I said, the problem in our country is our ignorance to these laws. Now, I'm not saying that it's all our fault or that we're not an intelligent people, but I'm just saying that 99% of us honestly aren't informed on what's going on. So the First Amendment states, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or of the right of the people to peaceably assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. This took many congressmen a long time to write and to think of the wording to write so that in the future government couldn't make laws to repeal our First Amendment. However, when courts started allowing big corporations to use the First Amendment rights, they showed the American people that they really have no respect for us. They opened the door really for interpreting other laws in a way that fits their own agendas. These rights were put into place to protect individuals, you and me, and the small guy, the business owner, the employee. But more and more we're seeing corporations being able to claim First Amendment rights. An example is Palm Juice. Palm Juice actually won their case against the FEC using First Amendment rights, and now, because of that, they are literally allowed, if they would like to, just because of freedom of expression, they can state that their juice cures cancer. I mean, they're just expressing themselves as an individual would, even though they're a giant corporate conglomerate. So, like John Coates, who is a Harvard law professor, said, power is taken from ordinary individuals with identities and interests as voters, owners, and employees, and given to corporate bureaucrats pursuing narrowly framed goals with other people's money. That's really not the way it should be. On top of that, concentration is leading to monopolies. That meaning through mergers and acquisitions, one company is buying up many media companies and all of their subsidiaries, and that leads to a monopoly in the game. These companies don't have to be related to media in any way, shape, or form. Like, for instance, Nabisco could own CBS if they wanted to, and choose what CBS does with their news. Interestingly enough, there's really only 5 major companies that own majority of the media. These companies are Viacom, News Corp, GE, Disney, and Bertelsmann. Now, Viacom does own CBS, actually. They have an active political action committee. They donate regularly, primarily to put Republican candidates. News Corp last year lobbied over $5 million to politicians and contributed another 2 to campaigns, also primarily Republicans. But GE takes the cake. They're not messing around. They want somebody in their corner for sure in office. They lobbied over $21 million in 2015 and then donated an additional $4 million because no matter who's going to win that campaign, they're going to be owing GE a favor. So they're pretty smart, actually. But technically, these being non-government agencies, they can censor things that we hear, and it's not illegal. But these really are the people that control the news that gets to us. An example is Bush's campaign. Now, let's say if GE had donated $10 million to Bush's campaign and they owned Fox News. I'm not sure if that's true, but if they did own Fox News, do you think they're going to allow that company or any of its subsidiaries to go write stories or air news that's slandering their primary candidate, the one that they want in office that's going to back their policies? Not really, because that's like the equivalent of shooting yourself in the foot. So monopolies then lead to censorship, as we just kind of talked about a little bit. Now, censorship is the suppression of words, images, or ideas, expression that are offensive. Now, that term is used so loosely, it's ridiculous. But originally it was put in place to protect anything that might cause imminent danger to our nation. It was to stop that from being publicized so that other countries and whatnot couldn't see this, or even, terrorists here at home. But it's used in a whole different sense at this point. It's most commonly used to paint a picture that big corporate conglomerates want us to hear rather than what's really going on. An example might be like, I'm just throwing Nabisco out there. You're a journalist. You write this really amazing article. You worked super hard on how Nabisco funded the war on Iraq. Now, your employer is Mondelez International. And you didn't know this at the time, but all of a sudden you're getting pulled aside and your article's being pulled because Mondelez International not only owns your company, but they also own Nabisco. So they're absolutely not going to let you run a story that's going to affect the profits of their other company. So now that you're aware of who owns the media and that they have political agendas of their own, can you imagine really how much censorship is going on? Do you think a company is going to let you tell a story that will ultimately affect their own financial interests? Probably not. One way that we've become an ignorant society is through censorship. Yet another is illiteracy, which is literally when a person possesses the skills and abilities to read or comprehend a subject like news media, but chooses not to for one reason or another. And this kind of censorship is up 77% in the last decade, which is pretty scary